Isn't it lovely, Spunky? Excuse me. Pardon me. Oops. Goodness no, hey. Sorry. License. Sorry.
Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society.
Oh, joy!
Let's rock.
It makes me wanna fart!
Dear Journal, it's me, Doug.
Do you have it?
Dig it.
Baby's gotta do what a baby's gotta do.
That was a hoot.
On your mark. Get set.
Oh, here it goes.
Ready for some more fun in the sun, slimesters and gakoids? It's time for Splat Attack, where we're taking it back to the Slimefilled past. And I'm your gakorific, terrific co-host, Brett.
And I'm your slimerific surfer, Alex. Brett, what are we talking about today, my friend?
Well, I know people are just loving our summer-oriented episodes. We did Tomorrow People, where we visited that Pacific island to see Christian Smith, and then we headed to the Wellsville Municipal Pool with Joey for our episode battle of Pete and Pete. But this time I felt it was necessary to grab the umbrella and some sunscreen and head on out to the beach of O-Town for our episode review of Rocko's Modern Life, Sand in Your Navel. Who's excited?
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I'm so excited.
Oh yes, we have to introduce our guest actually, because
Who was that voice? Who was that voice?
Is it coming from the lifeguard tower maybe, or is it from that fish market that captured Spunky? Where is she? Let me use my binoculars to find her.
Over here.
Hey,
there she is.
it's our guest for tonight. It's Kelsi from Slime and Slashers, and it looks like you have a octopus on your head.
Yeah, I dove into the water and it just latched on. I don't know.
Oh wow! I guess he's coming with us for the ride, huh? So we have technically two guests today, Kelsi and Mr. Nickelodeon Colored Octopus.
Yeah. So he's all thematically colored for the episode. He just wanted to fit in.
Love it. Well, we're happy to have you both here.
Well, we are happy too.
Awesome. Before we get into the episode review today, which is our first Rocko's Modern Life episode review, believe it or not, tell us a little bit about your history with 90s Nickelodeon and how you got into show Rocko's Modern Life, because I'm pretty sure you're passionate about it like I am, right? And Alex as well.
Oh yeah, I love Rocko. In fact, if I had to pick my favorite cartoon from the 90s, it would be Rocko and Rugrats. They're kind of tied, because Rugrats I liked a lot as a kid. Rocko I did, but I think Rugrats was a little bit higher for me. Just kid me, I'm like, oh, Rugrats, cute little babies. But as an adult, I mean, Rocko has almost surpassed Rugrats, so it evens out. They're almost equal. But I watched Rocko again about 2 years ago in its entirety, and boy, does it hold up. The creativity, the adult freaking hidden things, it's just so good. Yes, the innuendos, everything. Even watching this episode, I didn't just watch Sand in Your Navel. I watched the first part of the episode as well, Carnival Knowledge, and I was like, man, there's so much stuff in here that I can't believe I watched as a kid. And I mean, I just rewatched it 2 years ago, but then you forget, and then so this refresher just the other day, I'm like, man, it's such a good show. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, I think it's aged like fine wine personally. This along with Doug are two shows from Nickelodeon that have heavily influenced me with my art style and all the stuff I've done over on Instagram over the years. I just love its zany cartooniness, and as my sister mentioned in our most recent Patreon episode, top 5 birthday episodes, that was one of my big influences, and she noticed that I would watch it all the time growing up because I liked the style of the characters and the colors. And my dad thought it was similar to Ren and Stimpy, and he's like, hey, what are you watching down there? Turn the channel or you're going to be punished. And I'm like, okay, Dad. And then once he left, I would turn it back, because I just couldn't look away. I loved it too much, especially Spunky. He's my favorite Nick pet of the Nickelodeon nostalgiaverse.
100% agree. Spunky all the way. Better than Spike, better than anybody, better than Gary.
Even Pork Chop?
Oh my God, yes. I mean, I know BOC, they talked about that on one of their episodes, Spunky versus Pork Chop. I gotta say, Spunky would win every time for me. He's so cute.
Same here. How could you not love him? He's just full of charm. And that's actually a topic that I suggested for their versus grab bag earlier this year. So it's cool that other people could weigh in on it, and we're also thinking about that too.
Yeah, you can't beat Spunky, so that's the clear winner in my mind. It always will be. So, and it's a great topic of like debate, so I like that.
Definitely. Cool. Well, Alex, do you have anything to add before we jump into the water?
I was really looking forward to this one because I'm actually quite the opposite from the two of you in terms of Rocko. Because when I was a kid, I just didn't get into it. This was one of those background white noise TV shows, and of all the Nicktoons that were out at the time, Rocko was the bottom of the list. Not to say I didn't like it; it was fine. I just didn't connect with it. There were only two things about the show I really didn't like. Heifer got on my nerves, and I just couldn't understand.
That was a hoot.
And I couldn't understand why Spunky was so stupid. But again, that was kid me. And then whenever I got back into Nickelodeon as an adult, and still seeing that so many people loved this show as well as Hey Arnold and a couple of others, I mean the dedication for it is immense, and I'm wanting to. I got to check this out. And I started going through watching all of a series and then all of a series and then all of a series. And then I had a child, and then that stopped everything. But Rocko was one of those I wanted to rewatch. And I did see a few clips when I was going back doing the archiving. And the clips that I saw, I was in stitches. And it really made me want to revisit. Like, man, I didn't catch any of this as a kid, but now as an adult, this is hysterical. And like Kelsi was saying, the animation is fantastic. And I really want to watch the whole thing, and I just haven't had the time. And the only time I really get to watch anything is whenever we've got something planned for Splat Attack, so I can have some preparation for it. And I got to rewatch for the first time since I was a kid, the Sandal Your Navel episode, and I really enjoyed it, which we'll get more onto later. But as a kid, I didn't get into it, didn't dislike it, just didn't get into it. As an adult, I am all about it, and I can't wait to watch more.
Well, I'm so glad that you chose to revisit it with an open mind, because I do think a lot of these 90s Nickelodeon shows do get better with age. And it's not just the nostalgia goggles we're wearing. They actually have lots of clever writing, lots of relatable characters, lots of beautiful, hand-drawn backgrounds, and just that it factor of what it was like to be like a show in the 90s. Like, they had a lot of zaniness, a lot of spontaneity, a lot of creativity, and a lot of freedom more than anything to create what they want. And I feel like, I like reiterating this on our podcast. That's what we try to embody the best we can. We take the heart and the spirit of what it was like to be at Nickelodeon in the 90s, and we just kind of repurpose it over here to help continue, like, preserve our slime-filled past, and to also, like, just relive it in a new light with all these new ways that we're approaching all the content that they've produced.
I mean, and you even mentioned like the color scheme of Rocko and how things hold up. Like, I love the color scheme. In fact, like the color scheme of Nickelodeon in the 90s in general was very influential for me. I mean, it's everything that I love. Like, you could see I've got in the background, if you're watching like on YouTube, you could see I've got orange curtains behind me. I just love, and you can't see because it's not behind me, but it's in front of me. My whole desk area is Nickelodeon stuff. And out of all of that, like the most merchandise I have is Rocko themed, because it's probably, and I do have a lot of Rugrats too, but Rocko in terms of color scheme and just the way it looks and the design, I think that's my favorite 90s Nickelodeon show of all, because the design's so sharp. I mean, the blue and the purple with Rocko's shirt, and it's just, I don't know, it's iconic in my opinion. And it's not the nostalgia goggles or whatever.
I love that. You got scuba gear.
Yes, I did.
You really did come from the water, didn't you?
I did.
She was on
I just
a float.
dried off. Exactly. I dried off real quick, and I didn't get too wet.
Awesome. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, Rocko's look is just iconic. I mean, for lack of a better word, you can't not notice it when you see the triangles, and you remember all the characters that just open up that worlds that he's trying to navigate best he can as a 20-something in O-Town. But enough reminiscing. Let's
reminisce more.
No. Let's jump into the sand, shall we? I'm going to begin this episode review and give you all the lowdown of the info behind this episode. So for Rocko's Modern Life, Sand in Your Navel, it premiered in season 1, episode 9B, and it aired November 7th, 1993. Directed by Roger Chiasson and written by Joe Murray with additional writing by Roger Chiasson and Doug Lawrence, who is from SpongeBob SquarePants fame. Is available on iTunes, DVD, and Paramount Plus. And the episode synopsis is as follows. Rocko and Spunky are dying of heat exhaustion at their home on one of the hottest days they've ever experienced in O-Town. Rocko is perspiring buckets full of sweat while Spunky is drinking said sweat to cool off. Ugh. Because melting ice cubes and lukewarm fans blowing hot air just aren't cutting it. In an effort to beat the heat, Rocko peels himself away from the vinyl chair he's slouching on and heads into the kitchen for something refreshing in the fridge. Much to his dismay, there are bugs having a pool party in his fridge with no food or drink in sight. Upon slamming the door shut where Spunky gets his head caught, Rocko notices a particularly serene postcard of the beach on his fridge, prompting him to head there for some summer fun and relaxation with his faithful companion, who's donning a snorkel and diving mask. What do you guys think about this opening scene? Setting the tone.
I liked how hot he was. I really did like the opener quite a bit. It was just, classic Rocko, and it's just the beginning of Rocko, really. We're in season 1, like you said, and I don't know, it just feels like the start of a classic episode. I mean, I'm not going to give away what I thought about the episode overall, but I just did like the setup of them being miserable hot. And I know a lot of people like to watch thematic things in certain seasons. This is a perfect summertime episode. You're at home, you're chilling, wondering what to do. Pop on this episode, it's summer.
One of the things that I really appreciate about this, and I'm assuming the rest is probably going to be very similar, but I know the reason that I didn't connect with it as a kid was because it wasn't relatable to me as a kid. As an adult,
well, you weren't hot as a kid.
No. When my wife and I first got married and we moved into our first home, the AC went out. And we didn't have the finances to have someone fix it. And it was in the dead of summer and it was hot. So when Rocko was sweating buckets of sweat, we were there. And our chair got ruined because it did stick to us. And it's like, oh man, everything of this opening scene I have been through. And I know exactly how that feels. Okay, you've got me hooked. Just the first minute, you've got me hooked. That's the way this went, with an extreme, almost the Far Side like type of humor.
Yeah, Far Side is a great comparison. It's really all about the visual gags and setting the tones for all like the comical imagery, like with that thermometer just bursting with all those ridiculous temperature ratings. And then you got like the fan blowing, and it's just like, man, I feel this episode right now, especially since we're just getting through a heat wave where we are right now, where we're hitting triple digits. It's just like, can't summer end already? I'm ready for fall. Come on, bring out those leaves and that cool autumn breeze. But I know Alex likes summer more than me, so I'm sure he's just soaking it all up.
Oh, I do. Now, to be fair, I love spring. I love fall. I especially love fall. I just hate winter. I hate it with every ounce of my body. So anytime it's sweltering like this, I'm like, it's not cold.
Fair enough. I mean, different strokes for different folks. Every time you say I hate winter, you know what I think of? I think of Mailman Harvey from Hey Arnold, where he's like singing his little song in that snow episode where he's like, I hate the snow. I hate the snow. I hate the sleet and I hate the rain. Boy, it's sure cold. I do hate the snow. And he like slips into like 15 feet of snow and like slips out trailing with some mail behind him, and he just continues singing his song as if nothing happened. We should talk about that Hey Arnold heat episode at one point too for summer.
It is the time of year for that, for sure. And yes, I can relate to this episode of Rocko as well, because I live in New Orleans and it is hot as hell right now. Like today it felt like 104, they said.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So I was like, this is great, 104.
How are people not bursting into flames outside when they go? I mean, I can barely stay cool when I take my dog Nika out for a walk, and I'm just like hiding in the shade, like the shadows of the buildings on the way to the dog park as much as I can.
Yeah, I mean, I felt Rocko when he was all sweating with the buckets. I was like, that's me today, like literally today.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness we're a little bit more cooled off now as we're reviewing this, and not whoa, that was weird. My what just
face
happened there?
disappeared.
A
You are
glitch in the
becoming
Matrix.
you're becoming one with the review, Brett.
Oh my gosh. I'm using a new green screen, so I didn't think it messed me up that much. Apparently my hands are green, so it triggered something. But let's get back into the review, shall we? So within moments, Rocko packs his car with all the essentials for a fun day at the beach. The only problem is what you'd expect. Traffic, followed by no place to park. With no open spaces to park in sight, Rocko ends up right back where he started in his driveway and just walks the distance to the shore. Cut to a close-up of Rocko's picturesque tropical getaway, only to be removed out of frame to reveal the unkempt, crowded space he has found himself to occupy. Rocko figures he's made it this far. He might as well shimmy, slink, and slip around all the people in order to claim his own plot of sand for the day. Once settled in a spot, Rocko grabs a pack of Tano butter to slather himself up for a golden brown tan before Spunky eats it. And then, Rocko is interrupted by a nearby beachgoer, a rather large, scantily clad lavender hippo lady who needs assistance applying some tanning butter to her hard-to-reach places. Considering Rocko has to climb up this woman to help her out, Rocko accidentally slips from her head into her cleavage, where he turns to face her, feigning embarrassment. Immediately, the hippo lady angrily replies, "How dare you!" and sucking the wallaby right into her nostril and then shooting the marsupial like a snot rocket across the ocean into a nearby cruise liner, effectively sinking it. Moments later, Rocko wades back to shore where a Wilfred Brimley-esque walrus butts in to inform him that he has a buoy sitting in the back of his pants. Rocko replies, "I think she likes me." What do you guys have to say about these scenes?
I honestly love like the hippo scenes. Like that's some of my favorite in any episode that the hippo appears in. And I feel like when you just impersonated the "how dare you," it made me think of the, the Stella shouting contest. I don't know if you're familiar, but in New Orleans, there's people who like yell out "Stella!"
Yeah, like Streetcar from Desire.
Yeah, a streetcar named Desire, and that took place in New Orleans. So it reminded me of like we should all have like a "how dare you" contest. I don't know why it reminded me of that, but it did. And then Spunky eating the butter. Like you can't have an episode without Spunky eating something he's not supposed to. That's like the standard Spunky gag. So I enjoyed that, of course. But yeah, the hippo was where it was at. Like literally where was Rocko was at, apparently.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that's rather risque for a children's cartoon back then. Yeah. Even now,
that's risque.
Yeah, that's an immediate channel changer if your parents happen to walk in the room, unless it goes over their heads, which most of the time it wouldn't. But it is a memorable moment for sure, because when people think of that quote, they think of this as being the first instance where the hippo said that.
Yeah, going along with that, because I'm a part of several different Nickelodeon groups on Facebook, and there's about 2, maybe 3 memes / screenshots of Rocko that constantly recirculate. The "how dare you" is one of them. It's constantly shared. I'm a sucker for very, very irreverent humor, and this is right up my alley. So I knew this one was coming, unfortunately, because again, I didn't remember this one. I didn't remember anything about this episode because I just it didn't click. Well, no, I take that back. There is one thing that I really remember, and that was the censor bar, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing from this episode I really remembered until I kept seeing that screenshot shared every few weeks. But again, for relatability, my wife is very, very much the beach goer. She loves to go. I don't, because I get bored.
Woohoo, team pool.
So if I'm going to go somewhere, I want something to do. She is very much I want to go chill, relax, lay in the sun, stay on the sand, and then get in the water and all that stuff. That's not my thing. And the whole introduction of him going to the beach, I felt every bit of that long traffic line, having to back up to every full parking lot to where you got to walk forever. And then if you are lucky enough to find one that's close enough, the price to park there is ridiculous. In reality, it's ridiculous. On Rocko, the closest one to park there was $1,000, which I thought was hilarious. And then the next one closest was $100. And then the next one, they were just like, okay, don't even bother.
Yeah, as all the cars pile up and burst into flames. It's just that much of a mad dash to get to some sand and some surf. Who knew? No, I'm not going unless someone else is driving. I'm not dealing with parking. I'm not dealing with crowds. You know, if I have to go, it's going to be for like a family function or a large group. Otherwise, I'm parking my keister either right in front of the AC unit at home or straight in an inner tube in a pool somewhere.
And I love the physical gags, the what you see. I loved everything because I loved how you saw the postcard. There is a shot where you see just the postcard take the entire frame.
Yep.
And then Rocko
revealed.
Yeah, and Rocko was like, "Oh, look, it's so great to be here." And then the postcard comes down, and it is full of people. It's not tranquil. It's just full of busybodies, and he's got to walk over people to find a spot. Like, man, this reality exaggerated, and I love everything about it. There was one moment when I got I had flashbacks of cringe.
Oh boy.
And it was with the hippo, because I know that some of the voice actors for a lot of Nicktoons also have done other shows and a lot of other shows, and Charlie Adler has done
I love him.
a lot. Solid dude. But there's this one voice that he does that I don't like. And Cow and Chicken.
Oh no.
I don't like Cow and Chicken, and I especially don't like Cow. And it's the voice. I just can't stand it. And when the hippo shows up and is asking to get the butter, that's the same voice that Charlie does. And I instantly went, "Oh, the cow. Oh, please."
Excuse me, kind sir, would you mind buttering my bag?
Oh, it would be an honor to squirt for you.
I never liked Cow and Chicken either. Sorry, I didn't like that show.
How dare you! This is just not my day. Like, we haven't
I'm sorry.
touched. It's okay. It's okay. I don't take offense. I mean, everyone's agree to disagree. I also grew up on 90s Cartoon Network. We touch upon it here and there on our podcast, like in the James Bond episode, top 5 birthday episodes, whatnot. I also like Cow and Chicken because Rocko was a stepping stone to that. And I just really like that weird, quirky animation style. I didn't really understand the red guy, but I felt like after 4 seasons, whatever, just let him do his thing and get out of here. I was more a Chicken fan than a Cow fan. She was kind of annoying at times. The voice didn't bother me as much, but I definitely have a connection to that because I got introduced to Rocko's Modern Life first and then watched it later in the late 90s when they had their whole cartoon phase where they were just firing on all cylinders with like Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Lab, and etc. Everything else that was going on. So moving right along, we have a diagonal wipe to Rocko lounging under the umbrella with shades while Spunky licks him to get his attention. Ugh. Rocko looks up to catch a glimpse at the flat-footed, one-eyed royal brand pelican, a legendary seabird who's incredibly graceful and wears an eye patch. Rocko narrates about this awe-inspiring pelican scooping up fish allegedly for its young, but in reality it's for the local fish market on the docks. Once the visual gag plays out, Rocko tosses Spunky a frisbee to fetch, one that lands right into a nearby pig's tuna sub, which Spunky gets caught in as well. As Rocko scurries to the pig, you can hear the sound of him regurgitating his lunch, spewing all over Rocko with Spunky, and the frisbee returned intact. Unfortunately, this stinky sight catches the attention of a flock of seagulls nearby, and they peck and gnaw the two until there's nothing left but bite marks on the duo. So what do you guys think about these scenes?
More great visuals. You know, I liked the pelican at first, but I don't want to jump the gun. But once the pelican becomes more involved in the story, I was like, eh. But at first I liked him. I was like, okay, yeah. When we see him like getting the fish and he's like a pirate, okay, cool, whatever. But like, at first it's awesome. Then I'm like, I could do without it. Just more visual gags would be fun that are unrelated.
Rocko's definitely known for its visual gags, but I like this little touch where it like builds a little bit of lore into like the O-Town shore. just so we get a better, more full sense of what it's like, other than like that nice panoramic view of the chaos that we saw before with the postcard reveal.
Yeah, I don't have much to add on this one. My relatability is gone, mostly because I don't have a dog, so I don't have any memories of playing frisbee with him or taking him to the beach or anything like that. So this is all just pure visual feast, which the relatability wasn't there, but I still enjoyed it. But the one part that I did crack up at, and I genuinely did have a laugh out loud, was when all the seagulls flew in, because it was just a split second. Oh, can we please splat, splat, splat? How about some iodine?
Yeah. If there's one thing Rocko does well, it's comedic timing with the visual gags. It's just like very snappy, in your face, and it really takes you by surprise. And that's what makes it funny. So then we fade out to a scene where Rocko watches a group of beachgoers play some volleyball. Rocko seizes an opportunity to join, where he retrieves their stray volleyball, but when he pops it due to his social anxiety, they quickly shun him away in unison. Rocko reaffirms how Spunky is his only true friend at the beach, and then proceeds to play fetch with a stick with his canine companion after noticing others doing the same. Unfortunately, Rocko's bad aim lands the stick into the ocean, causing Spunky to be engulfed by a large purple fish. Rocko speeds to the rescue by bringing the fish to land, squeezing Spunky out, and then performing the Heimlich on the lovable dog. Rocko cries out with joy that Spunky's breathing again, and while the Hup beavers poke out of their emergency post to snatch the dead fish on a stretcher, and then promptly plop it onto a portable grill to cook.
Those beavers get me every time. I don't know why. Like
and they always save the victim who doesn't need to be saved, whether it's like the fish, like a broken car, or like just some random bush on the side of the road. It's like ridiculous. And I love how they're just a part of the Rocko universe, where they randomly show up, just like the trash rats from Popcorn Pandemonium and Trash-O Madness.
I think they were also the beavers. I mean, they were also in the episode, the A episode of this, I believe, the A part of this episode in Carnival Knowledge. So I thought it was cool that they were in both parts of the episode.
Yeah, 2-for-1 deal, huh? We then see Rocko digging for clams with a shovel and pail in a shallow pool surrounded by tall, porous rocks, while Spunky watches alongside him. Spunky gets distracted, though, as something bubbles near the edge of the water. A crab jumps out to chase Spunky to a nearby crab shack, where the crab gets frightened by the sight of it and retreats back into the ocean. Spunky masks his cowardly escape by chasing after the crab with an aggressive face. Back at the water's edge, we see the flat-footed, one-eyed royal brand pelican sailing high above near the afternoon sun, honing in on the latest catch. Spunky! The moment the pelican dives in to scoop up the pup, Rocko freaks out and chases after the dognapper, dropping his bucket of clams in the process. Upon pursuit of the pelican, Rocko trips and lands on a portable grill from the previous scene and ends up plowing into a sign just outside the new beach. Rocko knows if he wants to reclaim his faithful furry companion, he must dare to venture where the beachgoers know no clothes. Rocko then places his swim trunks onto his head, while Sensor steps in with a sensor bar and the feisty wobbly dives into a flashy landscape. The mighty pelican circles back to his previous destination, prompting Rocko to leap back out into the regular beach. It's just his luck to run right into the rear end of a familiar hippo from before. Naturally, Rocko is emotionally distraught as his sensor bar falls right off, followed by the enraged hippo lady to grab him, roll him up into a ball, and then spike him deep into the ground into the sand, where two bugs ask each other if they've heard a noise, with Rocko's head diving them in their underground dwelling. So that's a lot to take in. What do you guys feel about this set of scenes?
I actually think this is my favorite segment of the part of the episode. I really like this segment. The entire part works, from the nude beach, the censor, which always made me laugh. Even as a kid, when I didn't even get it, I was like, what? Now
yeah, where do you buy those? Can you wear them out in public?
Now I get it. And I'm like, this is even better than I remember. And I just love also the volleyball part where he runs into the hippo again and that whole thing ensues. And I just love it. It's good. It's great.
I was going to say, I had flashbacks of Rocko's happy sack where he also ran into her rear end there too. Like he's trying to get by her to get some stuff before the 90% sale was happening. It was expiring. And he just like smushed right into her left glute, and I'm like, oh my goodness. This, I feel like the hippo lady has to put a restraining order on Rocko, but it's not his intention to keep running into her like that, literally. It's bonkers.
She keeps butting into his business.
Duh.
That's actually great.
Literally.
I am easily amused.
No, I agree with Kelsi. This was my favorite portion of the episode. The whole pelican taking Spunky, that made me laugh. I love how just it evolved into how can we make this worse. The sensor bar, oh man, that broke me. That's the one thing that I remembered as a kid. Didn't they do the sensor bar on another episode as well?
Yes, Camera Shy from season 3, I believe.
And I did know what the sensor bar meant. I was old enough to know this, and I thought I was freaking out because my mom was in the living room with me, but she happened to be asleep. If she was awake and saw the censor bar moment, then much like Brett had said, it would have been change the channel. You're not allowed to watch this, which would be the first time that would have ever happened on Nickelodeon, because that was a safe spot. But if she saw that, no more Rocko. But and even though I wasn't really attached to the show, I still wanted it on because it would be that or soap operas or news or whatever garbage else was on at the time. Because again, 90s, you didn't have any other 24-hour, 18, 16, 12-hour network until Nick at Night came on. So it was this or nothing. And I'd rather it be this. And but no, I loved the spiking him into the ground, and I had no memory of that. That made me crack up. Just I loved how this escalated, and just wanted to make Rocko as miserable as possible, even though he doesn't deserve it. It was back to some relatability, because I was that socially awkward kid when I was the age I was watching this. I want to play. Can we play volleyball? Oh crap! Hey, I want to go do this, and then I ran myself into a really bad situation. When we're off air, I will share with you guys the situation because it was really funny. But and we can put it as a bonus content, so we'll put that in there.
Definitely make a extended gag reel or behind the scenes for Patreon off of this, because this is a gold mine in my opinion.
But just to keep this concise to the episode that's going out to all of you who are listening and watching right now to hear some really embarrassing stories, make sure to go check out our Patreon. But definitely. This is absolutely one of my favorite parts of the favorite part of the episode for me.
Yeah, the pacing, you said, it escalated. It's just like the pacing is perfect. It flows really well. Just very well executed in every way. And a small sidebar, really quick. I think it's funny how you guys were like, oh no, I don't want my mom and stuff to see. Like, my family, I guess, is twisted or something. Because even if I knew what the censor bar meant, my dad actually watched this stuff with me. The whole time. He's a big animation fan. He still watches animation today. He watches all kinds of stuff. I mean, he told me about Grizzy and the Lemmings. It's like this awesome new show. But anyway, he also watches newer SpongeBob, which I don't like, but he just loves animation. But he would watch Ren and Stimpy with me. I mean, come on, that's insane. So
good man. Yes. Being a cool dad.
I mean, he kind of introduced me to 90s Nick. I might not even be as big of a fan if it wasn't for him. So I just think it's funny how different households would treat it differently, and that made our viewing either kind of tentative, oh no, don't wake up, or really just didn't care, loose, relaxing.
I mean, my parents are against any form of nudity shown on TV or implied nudity, but when it came to violence, I guess that was okay, because my dad watched Tales from the Crypt and X-Files with me growing up, and he also actually introduced me to Are You Afraid of the Dark, so I have to give him credit for that, for getting me into horror anthologies and that sort of thing. But it's interesting how Ren and Stimpy doesn't fly with him, yet something like Are You Afraid of the Dark does, and they also push the envelope on that show too in various instances. It's just a different kind of envelope.
Yeah, definitely. I just think it's funny to compare experiences and how we all grew up differently. It's so rich and just really awesome to examine that.
Totally. So moving back into the plot, luckily a nearby beachcombing bear with a radar detector digs him back up. And once Rocko's head resurfaces, the bear runs away, stricken with terror. Rocko springs out of the sand to continue chasing the dog-napping pelican. By now, though, the hot summer sun has fatigued the wallaby to the point where he can no longer keep up. Saddened by his loss, Rocko wanders to the docks to lament his furry friend leaving his life. However, all is not lost. Rocko hears a familiar barking nearby and he runs to the source. Apparently, Spunky is trapped in an ice cube at the local fish market on the docks, and in order to get him back, he'll have to pay the merchant for his prized dogfish. The two share a tender moment, and then Iris out and in to see Spunky back at the Rocko residence, cooling off next to a fan. And as you can tell, that's what's happening right now in my background. Cooling off at home while Rocko is badly sunburnt by the whole experience. So much so that there are flies on his belly cooking up burgers and serving them up. And it's just the perfect way to end the episode as he's like just taking in the whole experience. So that's Rocko's Modern Life, Sand in Your Navel. A very jaunty episode packed with action for 11 minutes.
Yeah, there really wasn't much downtime with the episode. Like I said, with the pacing overall, I mean, in that one segment I was talking about, the pacing's really extra good, but overall it's pretty good, you know, in its entirety. But yeah, I love the end. I think the beginning, the end, that little segment in between with the censor, the nude beach and the volleyball, all of that like really made this episode for me. Those were my favorite parts.
A lot of times on Splat Attack, when we do episode reviews, the ones that we've usually said are our favorites are ones that have a really, really strong emotional connection or story that is linked throughout and is written really well. It's not very often that we praise something that's just little vignettes at a certain setting. And I do like those episodes on any kind of episode, because after a while, sometimes you do get bored with the big thematic stuff. And it's like, okay, it's been a lot. Let's go back to something a little more silly, a little more fun, little bite size. And that was this episode. It was just Rocko goes to the beach and what antics is he going to get into? And I really enjoyed that.
Cool. Well, while we're talking about it, let's get into our Splat Attack rating. I mean, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's not my favorite Rocko's Modern Life episode, but I still enjoy it for what it is, especially with the memorable moments with the hippo lady and a lot of the visual gags in general. I wasn't totally sold on the plot with like Spunky being dognapped. I didn't care for the pelican character as like a villain or a catalyst at all. But just seeing Rocko deal with like all the craziness of the beach, I definitely related to, like how stressful it can be to get there. And then even once you get there, it's still stressful. Like, where does the relaxation come in? So for that, I'm going to give it a Splash Factory, which is a B on our rating system. And it is better than the Spunky's Dangerous Day, Sand in Your Navel video game level that we played for episode 21. So I'm going to give it that. I don't know what else I can mention about this. I think I just am a Rocko snob. So I've seen Rocko's Modern Life obviously so many times because it's one of my major artistic influences. And I know there's more episodes that are like ranked absolute top tier for me. I will never get sick of watching them. This one is, I would say, serviceable. It's fun to revisit. It's not too memorable or doesn't really give like a deep impression for me, but I do like it for like the "how dare you" quote. I like it for the "boy, you got a buoy in your pants" moment with Walrus Brimley, and I love seeing Spunky just be so happy to like get out of the house and, you know, join Rocko in these antics, especially with like the frisbee throwing and just getting frozen in a block of ice. That's just the epitome of what makes Rocko so fun. So yeah, it's good. It's a good episode.
I was just going to say, I'm actually on the same exact wavelength as you. I would give it a B or a Splatisfactory ranking or rating. And I think I've got actually the same likes and dislikes as you. So I liked it a lot. I praised it a lot throughout our review here. But like, those things are still true. It still had great pacing. It was still fun to see all the beach shenanigans and all this and that, and the funny visual gags and the censor, like the hippo, like that's some of my favorite stuff. But I will say there are better episodes like Sugar Frosted Frights, to Heck and Back, or The Lounge Singer. Those are some of my like all-time like god tier favorite Rocko episodes. So I really like those a lot. This one is not to that level, but still like fun to put on during the summer. If you want to be thematic, you're like, yeah, this is a fun time. This is a relaxing time. You don't have to think too much. You don't have to invest too much in terms of like, focusing 100% every time. If you want to just revisit this for like the 10th time, just throw it on in the background. It doesn't matter. So to me, it had some good elements, some great elements even. It just, wasn't my absolute favorite, but still enjoyable, still watchable and rewatchable, and worth a go if you haven't seen it.
Excellent. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. All valid points. Alex, what about you?
Something I think is really interesting, just as individuals, if we're a big fan of something, we're more critical of it than somebody who is not as diehard of a fan as the person who's a huge fan. James Bond movies, I love all of them, but I'm very critical. And then I meet somebody who's not as big of a fan, but they watch the same movie that I did, and they're, I had a good time. And that's kind of where I sit. I think I've got a bit of an advantage because I don't remember this episode, at least until I watched it. And I don't remember any of the other episodes either. So this was like watching it for the first time. And I don't know what's better. I don't know what's worse. All I have is this one episode. And what I was expecting from it was little vignettes, fun pacing, lightning fast pacing, because I knew it was known for its visual cues, great animation, and I don't want to get bored. And I wasn't bored. I really enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed it all the way through. I had one little bit in the middle that just wasn't relatable to me. But I know that there's a lot of people who have pets and have dogs. And I know if the rest of this is on par with what my experience is going to the beach and being in the heat, then I know that's got to be on par with somebody who has dogs. So just because it wasn't relatable to me, it's still solid. And I really, really liked it. It wasn't anything that went above and beyond, but it met every single one of my expectations for what makes a Rocko episode a good episode, at least what I would want it to be. So I give it an A. I give it a Splat-cellent.
Very respectable. And we're pretty much all within the same realm too of like our likes and dislikes with it. Mm-hmm. So overall solid episode. I'm surprised. Oh, yeah. But check it out. It's one of the better season 1 episodes. If you have the DVD, if you have streaming services, give it a watch. It might get you in the mood for summer or remind you, hey, I don't want to go to the beach and deal with that.
Let's hope we don't have to encounter that type of stuff at the beach. I don't want to run into a hippo and then get lost in her boobs. Like, no thanks.
Yeah, no hippo boobs for us today.
No.
Hippo boobamus.
I think we have to put an explicit rating on this episode now. Because
you got to put a censor bar on it.
Yeah.
We have to censor it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, let's get into one of our favorite segments of this podcast, Think Fast to Make the Grade. Roll the jingle. Time to think fast to make the grade. All right, so for Think Fast to Make the Grade, usually how it goes is I answer
the questions and then you gave me the question.
Exactly. Yeah. I give people questions and they answer it, and we play for fun and see who racks up the most points. So it's Alex versus Kelsi in this heated match based on Rocko trivia from this episode. And how it works is we have 5 questions this time around, and each of them will get successfully more in points and in difficulty as well. So the first 2 will be 1 point, the second 2 will be 2 points, and the 5th one will be 3 points. So if you want to put your hand on your buzzer or say zzz, or like do something visual to like signal that you buzzed in first, because I still haven't figured out how to hook up buzzers to, our equipment setup, by all means, do what it takes to ring in.
Ding ding, that's what I'll do.
I'll go.
Wave the octopus tentacle.
What about you, Alex? Do you have an octopus tentacle or dog tail to wave?
I'll just grab the cat and throw it at the camera. No, I'll just buzz.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's begin. Question 1. Which O-Town side character makes their debut in this episode?
Ding.
Kelsi.
I think it's the hippo.
Do you happen to know her name?
Oh my god, I don't know her name. Can you beat me, Alex? Do you know her name?
Brenda.
I'll give it to you because it doesn't show up until like the episode called Dumbbells in like season 3 or 4 of Rocko, where she actually has a focus in that episode. But her name is Gladys the hippo lady. So I'll give that one
Gladys.
to you. Yeah, very fitting name.
I should know this.
It's okay. You can catch up in the next questions. Question 2 for 1 point. True or false? This is the first time we see Rocko wearing a bathing suit. Alex.
Taking a wild guess. I haven't seen the rest. True.
That is correct.
Hey.
You got 1 point, Alex, 1 point, Kelsi. Anyone's game so far. Question 3. This one's for 2 points, so it gets a little bit harder now. How many parking lots did Rocko drive to before walking to the beach? And which one was the most expensive? Alex.
He went past 5.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them, I think, said beach parking or something to that extent. But one of them, the first one, was $1,000 to get to. The second one said the same name, but it was $100. And the other one was like 5 blocks or something really close.
Yeah, I mean, that is correct. You answered it more than proficiently. It's basically just 5 lots, and the first one cost $1,000 because it's luxurious.
I watched this episode twice in the last 2 days, and I didn't remember that. It's great.
Okay, here's a bonus question that I'm going to throw in to see if anyone can get it. It's not on here, so keep track.
Go ahead, Kelsi.
So the bonus question is, what did the last parking lot sign say, and how much did it cost?
Oh my god. I don't remember.
I'll give you a hint. It was right next to Rocco's house, so that's part of the name on the sign.
Rocco's house? I don't know.
No, that was. Can I guess?
Yeah.
It was Big Ed's parking lot or something to that effect, but it was Big Ed's. I think it was the cost. I don't remember. $3 of free, $1. I forgot what it was.
Well, you lost on Price is Right. That much is for sure. It was,
but I do remember it was Big Ed's.
Yeah, it was Big Ed's, and it cost $1. And he's like, and it has the tagline underneath, "What beach?" As
Yeah,
he
what
looks
beach?
back at his house.
Yeah, I remember the
that's
tagline.
what I remembered.
He could just save money if he walked.
Yeah.
It's okay. You can still catch up. Question 4 for 2 points. What does the shark drink when he's playing fetch with his dog?
Ding!
Kelsi,
Diet Chum.
you got it. And
I like sharks, so I love sharks. I was like, what is he drinking? So,
there you go. And to be more specific, it's called Just for the Scent of It Diet Chum.
oh, well.
But I'll take Diet Chum.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I need to catch up here, so.
Yeah, I'm helping you. Don't worry. Bonus point. What does his dog retrieve for the owner? Alex.
It was a leg,
What kind of leg?
a blue leg with the bone sticking out. I don't know
Okay,
whose
close
leg it
enough. I'll
was.
give it to you. I was going to say a gnawed off human leg because it definitely looked like it was chewed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was a definitely foot and toes on there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. So for the final,
I was at 4, which now I'm at 5. Kelsi was at 1. She just got 2, so it's 5-3.
okay. So, I mean, this could tie up the game if we want, and we'll go into a tiebreaker. So question 5 for 3 points. What temperature label does the thermometer rise to in Rocco's house at the beginning of the episode, and how many temperature levels are marked on the thermometer?
I remember like 2 of them, but like hottest, I don't remember the rest.
Do your best.
Do you remember what the temperature was?
At the
I'll accept the top one and then just say how many notches there were.
I'm gonna lose. I'm fine with losing.
Well, that's no
Well, I mean, I don't
Way
know
to-
the answer.
guess.
I do know what the top temperature was, but Kelsi, why don't you take a wild guess as to how many were on there? Because I don't know that either.
I would say 6.
I would say 10.
Okay.
And do you want to take a guess as to what the top temperature was?
God, and I made a note of it when I was watching today. Like in my head, I was like, oh, that's funny that it says that. And I don't remember. So I can't even remember. I said something about, I can't even recall.
it was please evacuate the premises.
Yes, that's what it was.
That is correct. And but the temperature lines is incorrect, so you only get 1.5 points for that, Alex. It is 12 different temperature levels, believe it or not.
12.
Wow, way more than I thought.
Long-ass thermometer when they showed it. Yeah.
I'm not the best with visual memory, but Alex, you own it visual memory. I mean, at least better than me, which is good.
Good job, Alex.
Yay.
You won Think Fast and Make the Grade this round.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well done. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially since you're relatively fresh to the Rocko scene. That's quite impressive.
It is.
Yeah.
I hate contests. So I was like, I'll just do my best.
You should have told me before I asked you to be on the show. I would have picked a this or that segment instead.
No, I still had fun. So
okay. That's all.
It's all in good fun. It's all in good
Exactly.
fun.
Yeah. But before we go and wrap up this episode review, we actually have a Mona's Mailbag letter to read. So let's get Mona to the docks as we share this letter with our slimesters and gakoids.
These are for you.
So here's a letter that got stuck in the cracks of Mona's mailboat from Travis Kemp. Travis writes, Dear Brett and Alex, I hope I have the right address. I mentioned before on social media, I first discovered your podcast a few days ago from the Sunday of May 27th. Since I grew up watching Nickelodeon, I was nothing short of intrigued about your podcast. So, last night, I thought I would check it out. The episode I watched was the Double Dare episode featuring your interview with Mark Summers and Robin Russo. That was really fun. I'm sure glad I found your show. Double Dare was one of my favorite Nickelodeon shows when I was a kid. In fact, I remember owning some Double Dare merchandise, including the home game, a couple of their VHSs, please see attached photo, and their computer game, that kind of thing. Also, the Christmas before last, I got a pair of Double Dare socks. I think it's from the Nick box he referred to, which I wear on occasion. What were some of my messiest moments from Double Dare? Well, you can't go wrong with the obstacle course. I remember wanting to be a Double Dare contestant. The obstacle course just looks so much fun. I mean, where else could you literally slide into a giant hot fudge sundae 1 second and then pick a giant nose the next? Thanks for your time. Take care, Travis. Thank you so much, Travis. We appreciate your letter. And just to share this on the screen for our slimesters and gakoids, I am going to pull up the image that you sent of your VHS tapes so that everyone can see what kind of cool Double Dare relics were around back then.
There it is.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, he's got a Super Sloppiest Moments Double Dare VHS tape and the Inside Scoop, which I think... No, it's not the Sunday slide. It's just some kid getting covered with slime. But they're both really cool. I didn't know they had Double Dare VHS tapes like that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, well before they started doing the orange cassette tapes.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Or not cassette, but VHS tapes.
Right, the iconic orange, yeah. Well, that was cool, Travis. Thanks so much for sharing this and getting into our podcast through the Double Dare episode. And if any of you haven't seen that yet, go check out episode 18, Sloppiest Double Dare Moments, where we have a very exciting conversation with Mark, Robin, and also our guest, Jasmine.
Yes. And I know the night that Travis sent that email, because that was a very late night for us, because that was the night we were interviewing Christian.
Oh, yes.
And I really just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to all of our listeners. We have some who would comment once or twice, and then that's about it. Especially on some of our earlier ones where you have under 1,000 views on this and you're reviewing Sardo? That's criminal. And then that's about it. We have about 4 or 5 who are constantly commenting or sending us emails, and it's awesome. I mean, Brett and I really appreciate the how much we're connecting with all of you. So thank you to all of you who are commenting and giving us feedback. We've had somebody just this past week pitch us out an idea. So please keep those ideas coming. We want to know more about what it is you guys would like to see and hear about.
Definitely. I mean, not only do we love covering 90s Nickelodeon history, but we love connecting with our slimesters and gakoids out there who resonate with what we're doing and how we're presenting it. And it's even more exciting and fun that we see people coming back for more and not just having a one and done affair. So thank you so much for everyone who's written into Mona's mailbag during season 2 so far, because we started that segment on a whim during our Sardo episode, and because we enjoyed it so much, we just kept rolling it, and we kept getting letters. So, sometimes when we test things out to, provide some variety to our podcast, it works, like in that case. So keep the letters rolling in, guys. We have plenty of more to share in future episodes.
And if you have an idea that's not Nickelodeon related, it's fine. Share it. I mean, Nickelodeon is our main focus, but we branch out from things that aren't Nickelodeon related on occasion. So as long as it's 90s, feel free to share it. We'll see if we can work it in somehow.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we already have season 3 pretty locked in for
season 3 is going to be awesome.
It's going to be amazing. We're going to talk more about that in our season 2 overview. So definitely check out that episode end of July, early August, as we kick things off and transition to like a whole new Splat Attack rebranding. But we've already covered James Bond as like a off 90s topic. Mm-hmm. Were there any others that we did so far?
We did Power Rangers.
Yeah,
we did Power Rangers.
I got that. I want to watch that one so bad. I'm gonna wait for like a bike ride where I do like a longer bike ride so I could like listen in like long chunks.
Make sure you get both parts, because most people see the first one, they're like, I can't stand that much Power Rangers in one go. But please watch it all the way through. It's worth it. I mean, if you have a weekend where you have nothing better to do and you're just doing some housework, put it on in the background.
Trust me, I love Power Rangers.
Awesome.
So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
I
might
really
have to
like
have
Power
you
Rangers.
on.
Yeah.
We might have to have you on when we do a Power Rangers episode review in the future, or even rank season 2 with Lord Zed's monsters.
That would be fun for sure.
Definitely.
And we did a Christmas special episode, which wasn't all Nickelodeon. We had to branch that out because we had so many guests, and we also did a Halloween commercials episode. So, and the Sam Reacts that we have, most of those aren't Nickelodeon. They're all just 90s commercials. So we do branch out from Nickelodeon on occasion, but that's our big focus for now.
Yeah, we keep things interesting and appealing as much as possible so that you're not like, oh, this show again. Ugh. But we're just here for you guys. We love to do topics that both we're passionate about and you want to hear. So let us know how we're doing, however you can. We're just trying to grow the podcast as much as we can, because we're under a year old still. We have a long way to go.
We do. Brett, what is our closing question for this episode?
Yes, thank you for helping us bring it home, Alex. I want to post to all you slimesters and gakoids who love responding to our questions at the end of the episode. Which episodes of 90s Nick help you beat the heat most during summer? You can let us know, either by DMing us on Instagram or writing to us at splatattack2021@gmail.com, or even just leaving a YouTube comment. Really, wherever you post your answer, we'll snag it up and share it in Mona's Mailbag segment in the future. So as long as we see that engagement, we're doing good. Also, if you are listening to this on a podcast platform, be sure to rate and review us, because that definitely helps us get found as well. I know a lot of the big guns in the 90s nostalgia sphere continue to like exponentially be growing, and we're just kind of in their shadow, like, hey, we're doing this thing over here, please help us. So if you're someone who's like along for the ride with us, definitely do your part. Write like a 2-second review, like, hey, I love these guys, check them out. And then add some 5 stars or whatever stars you want. Just give us an honest review and help us grow. That's it. After a string of beach-oriented episodes, I think we're ready to finally head back inside to cool off. We've had a great time soaking up the sun, sand and surf, while Rocko endured all that crazy hijinks. But tune in next time as we revisit Nickelodeon Studios to dig up a coveted time capsule for episode 26, Remembering Forgotten Nick Game Shows. It'll be an interesting trip, as the shows we pluck from the bunch are rarely talked about, and we'll have not 1, not 2, but 3 special guests who will fill in for us on why these shows are worth remembering in the timeline of Nickelodeon history in all their glory. This is something you're not going to want to miss, even if you have no idea what these shows are. I mean, we reached out to these guys a couple of months ago, and even though they're like, what's this about? I think they're on board with us. So we'll have a fun time recapping these 3 Nick Game shows that we handpicked for y'all as the final episode of season 2 before our overview.
It's going to be a good one. So definitely stick around. And speaking of sticking around, thank you, Kelsi, for sticking around and being with us for this episode. It's been an honor and a blessing to have you. If people want to follow you, support you, where do they need to go?
Well, kind of. I love 90s Nickelodeon, and I have a YouTube channel where sometimes I talk 90s, but I do mostly talk books. So you can, if you like books, especially vintage books, like vintage 80s books and 90s books, which includes horror and just nostalgic books in general. Like I've got like a Home Alone 2 novelization I just showed on my channel, for instance. So very 90s centric. And I actually have a whole episode about 90s Nickelodeon that I did like 2 years ago. But I'm at Slime and Slashers, and the "and" is spelled out A-N-D. So Slime and Slashers, because I cover everything from Nickelodeon slime to horror movie slashers, but everything in between as well. So that's where the name comes from. So if you guys like that type of stuff, just find me on YouTube. I'm always creating content every week. Like I said, if you don't like horror books, there's still other stuff that I do every now and then. And I'm just so honored to have been on this episode with you guys. Thank you so much for asking me on, because I just love geeking out over 90s Nickelodeon. I don't know too many other people who will geek out with me. So thank you guys so very much.
Oh, you're very welcome, Kelsi.
Yes.
It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on here and just getting to know you through our podcast and the work that you do as well. I really wish I had more time to read, but you're doing a phenomenal job on YouTube, and I wish you all the best with continuing to grow your channel.
Thank you. I wish you guys the best too. And I've got to actually write a review. Sometimes people forget to write reviews, but they are important. So I'm going to take your advice.
That's why we're mentioning it today.
Yes, it's a good mention because it is important as a content creator, like on YouTube specifically. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a comment on this video. It's very important. It helps with the analytics. Yes, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Same thing though with, on podcasting platforms, make sure you review, because that does help. And I will do my part and I will review, because I should have before. So I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I reminded you today.
All right. You did.
And I reminded all of our slimesters and gakoids too.
Yes, and I hope they take your advice and remember. Please, guys, that would really help. And thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
But yes, without further ado, Alex, will you drain the slime tank for us, please? I think my sunburn is making it a bit hard to reach the lever.
Aye, co-captain. Don't forget to put on some aloe.
Well, this has been a hoot. I'm going to go and dip back into the ocean with my squid. So,
sounds good. I'm almost reaching the lever. Sunburn day is a very dangerous day. Splat you later, everybody. See you next episode.
Bye, guys.
Reprise the theme song and roll the credits.
Hard to believe, folks, but it's time to say goodbye.
Nighty-night.
Hey, check us out next time for more adventure and another great legend of the Hidden Temple.
What'll we do till then?
Chill for a couple. We'll be back.
You're on, Nick.
And it was time for the superhero to move on. I declare this meeting of the Midnight Society closed.
Bye-bye.
I think she likes me.
Boy, you've got a buoy in your pants.
Small kangaroos, or wallabies, are known to live on their own. Their natural habitat is the scrub, or dense thicket. Observe this rare Rocko specimen in his Nickelodeon environment every Sunday in Rocko's Modern Life at 11:30, 10:30 Central, only on Nickelodeon.